Is there anything more crushing for a fan base than watching your Plan A superstar sign a mega deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers while you're left holding an empty checkbook? Welcome to the current reality of the Toronto Blue Jays, folks. We need to talk about the ripple effects of rejection, because right now, the baseball world is spinning on its axis. The Dodgers just dropped a nuclear bomb on the free agent market by securing Kyle Tucker on a 4-year, $240 million deal, effectively shattering the dreams of every front office north of the border. But here is the burning question that every single one of you needs to ask right now. When the dust settles on a missed opportunity of this magnitude, do you panic, or do you pivot to the most chaotic, high-risk, high-reward option available? We are witnessing a fascinating collision of desperation and opportunity. The Blue Jays, reeling from the loss of Tucker and facing a catastrophic injury to Anthony Santander, who is out for 5 to 6 months with shoulder surgery, are suddenly staring into the abyss in right field. They need a bat. They need a presence. And wouldn't you know it, just as one door closes in Los Angeles, a very controversial, very expensive door has been kicked open in Philadelphia. The Phillies have officially cut ties with Nick Castellanos, eating the remainder of his massive contract just to get him out of the building before spring training starts. This isn't just a simple transaction. This is a narrative explosion. We aren't talking about a standard roster cut. We are talking about a former Silver Slugger, a man with a $20 million price tag, being released into the wild because the Phillies couldn't find a trade partner. Think about the gravity of that. A team with World Series aspirations looked at a proven slugger and decided that paying him to not play for them was a better option than keeping him in the dugout. Why? Well, reports are surfacing about a beer in the dugout incident last season that led to a benching. It paints a picture of a fractured relationship that had become untenable. So, here we are. The Blue Jays are desperate for power. Castellanos is desperate for a new home where he can prove he's not washed up. It's a marriage of convenience that feels almost inevitable, yet terrifyingly volatile. The Phillies have cleared the deck, prioritizing clubhouse culture over sunk costs. But for Toronto, one man's trash might be the only treasure left on the map. This is the classic distressed asset play. Can a change of scenery reignite the bat of a man who has been one of the most feared hitters in the league? Or are the Blue Jays about to walk into a trap that Philadelphia just paid millions to escape? The stage is set for one of the most intriguing reclamation projects of the 2026 season. To understand why this potential signing is so polarizing, we have to step into the time machine and look at the context of who Nick Castellanos actually is. We cannot simply look at the end of his Phillies tenure and judge the entire book by its final, messy chapter. We have to remember the player who terrorized pitching staffs in Cincinnati. When Castellanos is locked in, he isn't just a hitter, he is a force of nature. We are talking about a guy who has a natural ability to find the barrel. A guy whose swing is designed to drive the ball into the gaps and over the fence with violent efficiency. The Blue Jays aren't looking at the guy who allegedly brought a beer into the dugout. They are looking at the guy who has a track record of carrying offenses on his back for weeks at a time. However, history in baseball is a cruel teacher. We have seen this movie before. A veteran slugger with defensive liabilities gets cut by a contender, only to be scooped up by a team in need of offense. Sometimes you get David Ortiz going to Boston. Other times, you get the ghost of Adam Dunn trying to play the field. The concern here isn't just about attitude, it's about the aging curve and defensive value. Castellanos has never been confused for a Gold Glove winner. In fact, defensive metrics have often treated him like a traffic cone in right field. In the spacious outfields of the American League East, where speed kills and gaps are vast, hiding a defensive liability is much harder than it looks. But let's dig deeper into the why of this potential move. The Blue Jays are operating under extreme pressure. The loss of Anthony Santander is not a minor inconvenience. It is a structural failure of their off-season plan. Santander was supposed to be the thump in the middle of the order. Without him, and without Tucker, the lineup looks significantly less intimidating. This forces the front office to look at bat-first profiles. Castellanos fits that mold perfectly. He is a professional hitter. Even in his down years, he has shown the ability to make hard contact. The comparison here is fascinating. Kyle Tucker offers elite defense, speed, and a high on-base percentage, a complete 5-tool package. Castellanos is a throwback, a one-dimensional slugger who lives and dies by his ability to drive in runs. It's a shift from a modern, analytical darling to an old-school, see-ball, hit-ball approach. The Phillies decided that the lack of defensive value, combined with the off-field friction, wasn't worth the headache. But for Toronto, A team that plays in a hitter-friendly park? The calculation is different. They might be betting that the chip on Castellanos' shoulder is worth 25 to 30 home runs. And let's be honest, in the AL East, you simply cannot have enough firepower. If you can't stop the other team from scoring, you better be able to outscore them. That is the philosophy this signing would represent. Now, let's talk about the money and the intangibles, because this is where the rubber meets the road. The financial implications of this move are actually quite favorable for Toronto, and that is a massive factor in why this is likely to happen. Because the Phillies released Castellanos, they are on the hook for the vast majority of his remaining salary. This means the Blue Jays, or any team that signs him, would likely only have to pay him the league minimum. Think about that for a second. You are potentially getting a guy with 30 homer potential for pennies on the dollar. From a cap hit perspective, this is an absolute no-brainer. It allows the Blue Jays to add a significant bat without crippling their financial flexibility for other mid-season moves. However, the cost isn't just financial, it's cultural. We have to address the elephant in the room, the beer in the dugout incident. In professional sports, the locker room is a sanctuary. It is a delicate ecosystem. When a player, especially a veteran, is perceived to be violating the sanctity of that focus, it can rot a team from the inside out. The Phillies, a team with strong leadership and championship aspirations, decided that this behavior was a non-starter. They chose to eat millions of dollars rather than let that energy fester in their clubhouse. So, how does this fit into the Blue Jays' chemistry? Toronto has a young, vibrant core led by guys like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They play with joy, but they also need veteran accountability. Bringing in a player who was just rejected by another contender for disciplinary reasons is a gamble. It sends a message. If Castellanos comes in humble, hungry, and ready to work, he could be the veteran presence that galvanizes the group. The guy who has been to the World Series and knows what it takes. But if he comes in with an attitude, or if the defensive lapses become a burden on the pitching staff, this could turn toxic very quickly. Let's project the scenarios. Scenario A. Castellanos uses the release as fuel. He arrives in Toronto, takes advantage of the Rogers center dimensions, and hits 280 with 28 homers, protecting Vladdy in the lineup. The fans embrace him, and the beer incident becomes a funny footnote. Scenario B. The bat speed has slowed down more than we think. He struggles to catch up to high velocity, his defense costs the team games, and the media starts asking questions about why the Phillies let him go. The pressure in Toronto can be suffocating when things go wrong. This isn't a low-stakes environment. The Blue Jays are in win-now mode. They cannot afford a passenger. They need a driver. The impact on the lineup construction is undeniable. He lengthens the order. But the impact on the team's soul? That is the variable that no spreadsheet can calculate. We have analyzed the stats, the money, and the drama. Now let's bring it all home. The Toronto Blue Jays are standing at a crossroads. They swung for the fences with Kyle Tucker and missed. They lost Anthony Santander to a cruel twist of fate. Now they are staring at Nick Castellanos. A flawed, expensive, talented, and controversial piece of the puzzle. Is he the perfect fit? Absolutely not. In a perfect world, you want the younger, faster, better defender. But we do not live in a perfect world. We live in the brutal reality of Major League Baseball free agency in February. The Phillies made a business decision to cut their losses. They prioritized their culture and their future over a sunk cost. That was a bold move by Philadelphia, and it deserves respect. But one team's roster cut is another team's lifeline. For Toronto, signing Castellanos represents a refusal to surrender. It is a statement that says, we are not packing it in just because we missed out on Plan A. It is a move born of necessity, yes, but also of opportunity. If Castellanos has anything left in the tank, if that bat still has the lightning that made him a silver slugger, then the Blue Jays might just steal a major offensive weapon for the price of a backup catcher. Ultimately, this comes down to risk tolerance. Are you willing to overlook the defensive shortcomings and the off-field baggage for the promise of power? In the American League East, where you have to bludgeon your way through the Yankees, Orioles, and Rays, the answer is almost certainly yes. You take the bat. You take the chance. You hope that the change of scenery is the catalyst for a renaissance. So, here is my final thought for you today. Is this a desperate Hail Mary by a front office running out of options, or is it a savvy, low-risk maneuver that could save the season? I want to hear from you. Are you buying stock in the Nick Castellanos revenge tour, or do you think the Phillies were right to cut him loose? Drop your comments below. Tell me if you think Castellanos hits 30 homers in Toronto, or if he's out of the league by July. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more unfiltered baseball analysis, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a breaking story. The season is approaching fast, and the drama is just getting started. I'll see you in the next video.